Hi, it's Mark from Training Spark. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at another of the features in the new AI eLearning Powerpack, which is due for release in June 2024. The plugin is still under development, but what we want to do was show you some of these features so that you can see how they work. And in this video, we're going to be looking at the AI enhanced reflections. Now, reflections are something we use a lot in our own learning. It's great to ask learners to reflect on certain topics because it gets them thinking. But one of the problems you have is that they often get something called blank canvas syndrome, where they're left with an empty box and the mind goes blank when they're asked to reflect on certain things. And what we can do is use AI to suggest things that they might put in there to get their minds thinking. And you can see in here we've got a button where people can generate suggestions of things to put in these reflections. So what I'm going to do is set up a very simple reflective exercise that will use AI now. And this is using the AI eLearning Powerpack, which I've got installed on this demo site. And I'm going to create a new AI enhanced reflection. And I'm going to call this Your Business Values. So we can set some general guidelines for how we want these reflections to work. These are mainly for the suggestions that come back. So I'll say something like limit responses to few sentences, keep them short, polite, and concise. We can change the button that appears here. So where you got generate suggestion, I can say, perhaps suggest with AI. And here is where we add our fields. So what we do is give these an ID. So I'll say values 1, for example, and we can choose between either an editor, which is like this one here, where you've got the options to include bold text, HTML and things like that, or just a single line. And here is where we ask the question. So what I'm going to do is create a simple business values exercise here. And I'm going to say in the first question, if you could invite 6 famous guests to a dinner party, living or not, who would they be? And we can give some additional guidance if we want. Let's say, we've said it in the question, but I'll say they can be living or not. And here is where, if we wanted to, we can add some AI guidance, but I'm not going to for this question. I'm going to add a new one here, values 2, another editor field, and then say, what do you consider to be the personal values you live by? And what I want to do is generate suggestions of the values that the person lives by based on the guests that they would invite to their party. So I'll say, as I'm going to add some AI suggestions for this. So generate some suggested values based on the user's dinner guests. Okay, so that's another one here. I'm going to ask them what their biggest challenges are, values 3. What are the biggest challenges in your life? I'll leave that one as a no suggestion here. And then values 4, I'm going to ask, how could your values support in overcoming these challenges? And I'm going to get AI to suggest that. So suggest some ways the user's values could support them in overcoming these challenges. And we'll add one more field, and this is values 5, and another editor field, and we'll say, how could your values prevent you from overcoming these challenges. So this is a bit of a kind of flip on the previous question, and I'll do it the same again. So I'll say, I'll ask the AI to suggest some ways the user's values could prevent them from overcoming these challenges. So what we've got now is 5 reflective questions, some of which have AI suggested options, so people can click a button to suggest it. So let's give this a go now. I'm going to click publish, and what happens is this generates shortcodes for each of the fields, and likewise we can also just copy all of the shortcodes for all of the fields. And these fields don't necessarily have to all be on the same page. You could span these across several pages if you want to, but the idea is that based on the user's previous responses, then they can reflect across and generate suggestions based on their previous answers. So I'm going to copy all of these fields into a page. I'm actually going to put them into a LearnDash course actually. So I'm going to go to a course here. So they can go onto any page, post, course, lesson, topic, depending on what you've got in your platform. And I'm going to go to the post here, edit it, and I'm just going to quickly paste in all of those fields that I've just copied there. So I'm just going to click down here somewhere and then paste them in. So we've got 5 fields there. I'm going to click update, and then we'll view the lesson. So I can see here I've got my LearnDash lesson here with these 5 reflective fields on them, and some of them have the option to suggest with the AI and some don't. And I've got some answers that I want to put into these to show you how this works. So the first question asks, if you could invite 6 famous guests to a dinner party, who would they be? So I'm just going to list a few here. So I've got Barack Obama, Richard Branson, Mary Anning, Bear Grylls, Wim Hof, and Lady Gaga. And now it's saying, what do you consider the personal values you live by? And it's going to suggest these based on who I've picked there. So if I click suggesting, it says, based on your dinner guest list, it seems you value leadership, innovation, and resilience. You likely appreciate a mix of intellect, adventure, and creativity. So it's based a suggestion on my previous response there. Here I'm asked to enter my biggest challenges. So I'm just going to list a couple here that you might have. So prioritizing my time, doing more about what I want to do, looking after my physical health. So I'm just going to save that. And now based on my challenges and my values, what it's going to do is suggest how my values support me in overcoming these challenges. And these are all things that if someone was sat down trying to think of these, it's actually quite hard to do because of what I mentioned previously, that blank canvas syndrome. And this just helps them to overcome that by suggesting what they might want to think about. And it says your values of leadership and innovation help you prioritize your time. So it's got a nice, sort of concise response that I can then change if I want to, or add additional bits to that. I think this is very true. And likewise, we can save that. And here is where it's flipping the question on its head, and it says, how could your values prevent you from overcoming these challenges? Again, we're just going to suggest that with AI, and it'll come up with a suggested response. So it says, while your values of leadership drive high goals and might sometimes lead to overcommitment. So it's just a really useful tool to help people reflect. So it's providing that AI guidance to just prompt the user and suggest them if they're struggling to think of these themselves. So that's the AI enhanced reflections. If you have any questions about these, just head to the Training Spark website and head to the support page, and just fill out this form to get in touch with us. If you've got any questions about the AI eLearning Powerpack, then we're more than happy to help.